Alrighty, happy Wednesday. Let's uh let's do a new project here. Right, we did the sales register already, but we'll make another one here. So we're going to keep on going with our files here, and then don't let me forget before we leave. I want to give you last time I taught this class's midterm, so that you can review that, go over the problems before we get to midterm review on Monday, where I actually solve them for you. That way you've had a chance to try them out. It's usually better practice than just watching me solve it. Right? That's not very exciting. So having done it once is good. And then we've got project two coming up due. When was the due date for that? Did I put it out to the 27th? That's right. Okay, yep. So we got a little time on that. If you get it done before the midterm, great. If you get it done after the midterm, great. Whatever you want to do, that's fine. It's up to you. All right, so we'll finish up our file streams today. It shouldn't take the whole time, so you've got a little bit of time um, to work on project two if you don't have that done yet. So the midterm will open 10:22. You don't have to be here. You can just take it whenever you want. It's on Canvas. It's a Canvas quiz. And then on 10:27, it'll be due. So as long as you get it in by 10:27, I'm great. And we can go from there. And then we got just a couple more chapters of new content after that. So we're like 2/3 of the way through now, right? We got the first 6 chapters in. We've got 3 more chapters left. We don't go crazy deep when we get to pointers because that's a big topic for next semester when you continue on. But there's a lot to pointers, which is really cool. So we'll kind of intro the topic, talk about it, how it relates to objects in classes. And then ideally we've got some catch-up review time, 12:1 and 12:3. Um, I don't plan on talking the whole session then either, so you'll have some time to work on your final project. 12:8's just reserved for the final project work time. Again, ideally it's done by then. I'm going to say this all the time because I want people to get it done early, and sometimes it doesn't happen. So, it's up to you. You can set your own schedule, but you'll have a month, right, from 11:12 to 12:15 to work on it. So we should be able to get that across the finish line. It'll have some specific requirements here. So using Git as we've been doing, we'll be making checkpoints along the way. So you'll have to have a certain number of commits throughout that period of time. Uh, that's again to encourage you to start early and not give it to me the last 2 days, and also to help make sure you don't cheat because it's very obvious if you find someone else's solution and you just give it to me in one commit. Like no one writes code like that. That's just not how that works. And you never get it right the first time. You're always going to go back and change it. So we're going to be making commits along the way, showing incremental progress on the project. I promise it's not hard, and we'll talk about it when we get there. That is another reason we have lots of time. That you're going to have to spread your work out over 10 days. At least 10 days is the goal there. So a little bit of work over 10 days. You're making your commits, building up that commit history. It's for your own good. It's a good way of working on it, and then it helps make sure people don't cheat as well. So it benefits both of us. All right. So let's talk about files here. So let's make a new project. Let's see, it's week 8. So we did the sales register before. Let's look at one. This might be our shopping list here. So we want to look at a way we can have um, storing data. So we did this line was our item, this line was the price, this line was the quantity. And then the next one was this. This was the name, this was the price, this was the quantity. And that works, but it's a little bit tricky here to maybe have to read 3 lines. Wow, that was neat. To have to read 3 lines every single time. So we can do it differently if we wanted. So let's use namespace standard. And then I'm just going to go copy paste here. So it's 150. So I forget all was it F streams or something we have to use. Let's go grab those imports here. Yeah, F stream. Okay. I couldn't remember which one it was, but I think I got it right. So we'll get our F stream. So if we wanted, right, we can put all that information on one line and use something we call a delimiter. What separates them here? So what is separate? So do you want to figure out how we want to read the file first, or do you want to figure out how you want to write the file first?
Just write it first.
Write it first. Okay, yep. So we'll figure out how we want to write. So we need to open a file for writing then, right? So that's our output file stream. Output file stream output file stream. Is that right? OF stream There. If we spell it right, it works better. And then we're going to go open our file. Oh, we want to look at a couple different ways of opening these as well. Got open, and we give it the name of the file. So notice here it says, hey, there's 1 of 7. there's 7 different ways you can call open here, and one of them happens to be the mode here, which is the important one. So what do we want to open and how do we want to open it? What is that mode here? So if you want to open a file for writing, now do you want to ask the user what they want to call it? Or should we just, we can just start with list.txt? Again, you don't need to put the .txt here. That just, it's an indicator to your operating system it's a text file so that it knows how to open the text file. You can open files anyway, and you can open it as a text file anyway. It's just this helps it here to know how to do that. We'll go open this, which will blow away any contents previously, or it should make the file for us, which is nice if it doesn't exist. Like right now, we don't have the file, right? And then we're going to output into that file. So if we had a couple things for our shopping list here, maybe we have the store name first. So we'll take our output file stream. And what store do we want to make a shopping list for?
Kroger.
Kroger. All right. Kroger. You can do Kroger. All right. And then what character do we want to use to separate these items? So we probably want something that's not in the names of things, right? So commas are pretty popular, but sometimes you do have commas in words. Comma separated is a little bit awkward sometimes. So there's other fun characters you can use. I'm quite fond of the pipe character. It's the shift backslash. Um, they use this for healthcare messaging here. So I got very familiar with the pipe character years ago. And I've never seen a pipe character in anything ever in my life. So I think that's a pretty safe delimiter here. That's the shift backslash. That's a fun one here, right? And then what things do we want to buy at Kroger? What's on our list for Kroger?
Milk.
Milk, all right. And then we'll add another one of those pipe characters. I guess we don't, I could just put it all in one line. I guess we don't have to separate it all here. We'll do milk. What else do we want to buy at Kroger?
Lettuce.
Lettuce. Okay. And eggs. All right. So we got 3 things. Sure. So, and then we probably want to add our end line here. Um, don't necessarily have to, but it'd be nice then just one line there has all of it for us. And then we want to close our output file stream when we're done. Great. So if we just give this a quick little run, it should make a file for us. Again, it's not going to show in Visual Studio. We have to go add it to Visual Studio. If you want to be able to see it here and open it here, you can always go open it outside of Visual Studio, but it's nice to have here. So we can go add, it's an existing item, and then we can go see, hey, here's our list.txt. So it's cool. This makes the file if it doesn't exist for us here. And then we see Kroger, milk, lettuce, and eggs. Works out pretty nice. So if we want to read our list then, we can go do similar idea here. We'll go use our input file stream, stream. I guess that probably should be an F here. Let me go rename that. Um, that was F2 to rename, so you don't have to rename each one. That's your shortcut. Or you can right click and rename. Right? It's F2. You don't want to have to type it 7 different times or 4 different times here. So we got our input file stream, and then we want to go open our input file stream. File stream open. This is our list.txt. And now we need to go and read these things out. So we're going to have a string for the store name, right? Store name, a string for item 1, a string for item 2. And after we get back from the midterm, this will be a lot easier. We can have just n number of items. We're not there yet, so don't worry about it. Now we need to go read these things in. So when we read it in here, right, we can get an entire line, but then we need to go and split that line into smaller pieces, right? So we had a couple different options when we were doing that, but we can take our string for, I don't know, the line, right? And then we can go and get that line from the input file stream. So we can take our line, input file stream into the line. Right? Instead of cin, right, if we're using our input file stream, and we'll get the contents of the line. Now we need to go split it, right? So we need to go find essentially where these characters are and go take everything in between them, right? Sadly, there's not a nice, easy way to do that, but that's okay. We can go find. Remember, there's ways we can find characters in our strings here. Uh, I'm actually just going to Google it because I don't even remember here. So let's find character in string. It is find. Oh yeah, okay, that was easy, just to find. So we'll go find on that. Now it gives us the position here, and this is the first occurrence of the position. I feel like we did this in the Zybooks. Does this ring any bells when we did strings? It's been a little bit since I read through the Zybooks. If not, it's new. That's okay. Um, and we'll use this anyway here. All right, so we can go copy this off here. That's finding the character. Yeah, look at that. So this was all in c++.com. I think was the actual link for it here, right? Okay. Probably, oh, that's not even the same one here. Hang on. I want the one that loops. Does this one give us a loop? Uh, that's a fun scroll window there. Okay, they just stole the same code from down below. Look at that, and their AI answer. Finding all occurrences. Here we go. This is what we're looking for here. We're going to find all of the occurrences of it here, and then we find again, given the position plus one, the index plus one. So this is the piece we want here. So we'll go steal this one here. And this will be from our being AI answer. What do we ask here? We said find character in a string. Right? We'll cite our source. So we want to find the pipe character, and that is off of the line. We want to find that target character. We don't need that standard. So this is, if it's not found, it's no position. I don't know why they end pause. It was not found here. So as long as we didn't not find it, right? As long as we did find it somewhere here, we found it at a given position, and we know what the position is, and then we want to go find the next time we find it at that index plus one, right? Take that index plus one. So really, I think I like calling this index. Call this one in. Oh my goodness, index, not lindex. There we go. So as long as the index is there, let's go find it, right? So if we can find the given indexes of those characters, we should be able to go and split it, right? Taking substrings, taking pieces of our strings here as we go. So at 6, 11, and 19, we found the pipes, right? So we can kind of see we're building it out here. So everything up to the first one, right, becomes that first character, right? So we know the first time we find it here, then so our store name is going to be a substring. So our line.substring of, well, where do we want to start? We want to start at 0. We want to go up to the index, right? And that'll grab a piece of it, right? We did substrings, grabbing chunks of strings. I really thought we did that one. No?
We did it.
Okay, thank you. Sometimes I forget because we do a lot of stuff. Now, I don't actually need to loop to the very end because I know there's going to be three things because we put three things in here. And again, we're not doing this based on some variable number. So we don't need to go necessarily loop here. I can just find every time. Um, we can go do this next here. So we'll take that at the index plus one, right? But now I need where store name ended. So really I need like the previous index. I mean, this is the next index. Because then my item one now will be my line substring starting at the first index plus one, because I don't want the pipe character itself, and I want to go up to the next index, right? And then we'll repeat that. So then my index equals the next index, and then my next index is same thing, go to the next one, right? Let's break this up a little bit here, right? So let's find where the first one goes, grab that chunk, find where the next one ends, go to that chunk, right? And then reset index to the end of the second one, go find the next one here, and then go grab that chunk again. So this is item 2. And then repeat this one more time for item 3. Now, item 3 here, we can find the last pipe. We just want to go to the end here. So I think we just say starting at next index, right? I think that's right. Because I don't think we have to find the last one for item 3, right? So the first pipe, the second pipe, the third pipe, yeah, there is no last pipe after that. So we don't need to go find again because we're not going to find another one here. We just need to go grab from that point to the end, right? The last pipe to the end here, because there's no, and I guess we could have added an ending pipe if we wanted here. That would keep all the code the same if we wanted. Should we do that? Put a pipe in our output? Or just leave it? Either one. Okay, just leave it, right? That's how we wrote it. So let's see now if we can get those values back out then. So we want your list from the store name and item one, item two, comma, and item three. All right, do you think it's going to work? Let's find out. It'll probably be pretty close. Sometimes we're off on our indexes here. Uh-oh. Size redefinition. Oh, that's right. We don't need to tell it it's a size again. We can just say it equals that. Right? We don't need to redeclare it's a type of size t. Oops, that one do. The other time we don't have to. Oh, we're pretty close. We got milk, lettuce, eggs, eggs. So we're off a little bit here. Right? We got the first one. Um, this must be so substring. That must be the number of characters. Yeah, that's count is the number of characters. We want that minus the index here, minus the index, right? Because this is how many characters to go grab from this position. So we were grabbing, right, the number of characters of the next one. That wasn't what we wanted it to do. Let's try that. We were using substring wrong. Okay, we're close. So milk is too long here. Lettuce is too long. Eggs looks probably okay. So what are we grabbing? So because we were adding one, we weren't subtracting enough.
Subtract one minus one. Fix here.
Minus one more.
Yeah.
Right, minus one more. Well, look at that. Milk, lettuce, and eggs. All right. So if you wanted here, do you think this is easier to put everything on one line, or do you think it was easier to do one line for one piece of information, one line for the next piece, one line for the next piece? Right? Like this is not really the most friendly way to have to go and read it, but writing was pretty easy, right? And then if I had multiple stores, right, we could just have more stores with more lines, right? We got different ways of doing it, right? It all just depends. However you want to format it, it's perfectly fine. And if we wanted, we could add in quantities, right? I could have, here's the name and here's a quantity, right? We could use more delimiters or more separation of pieces here, right? Hey, what else do you want to say? What else do you want to save here? It all would still work, right? We just have to go and split more things, right? Um, so as long as we know the format, we'll be able to do it okay. And that's really the hard part. You have to decide on what it's going to look like, either for reading or writing, and then you just do the opposite, right, for whatever we're going to do here. So we said, hey, we're going to write it like this first, so we had to read it like this, right? Splitting's not too bad here. I think, didn't it give us, I think there was stuff on the input string stream that might have been helpful. Input string stream. Did this one let us use delimiters? No, that's all one line. We did a thing, reaching the end of a stream, phone number format. This was just checking if you actually read a number or not. Okay, that was not what we wanted. No, this didn't have any helpful hints here. That's okay. Um, so lots of different ways of reading our data or writing our data. Oh, the other thing we want to do was the different modes here. So this was in essentially it will blow away. It'll overwrite the file here. So a different way we can open our file here, which is nice. So let's go add, say we want to go open this file again and we want to change the mode of it here. So we want an um, open mode colon, oh, what is it here? Open mode, space. It's one of these flags here. Um, iOS base. Isn't it though? Let's go Google it here. I don't remember what it was here. C++, open file. We want append mode. So append mode is how we can open it for adding to it, not just blowing it away here. Yeah, okay. Open for append. Ha. Open for appending. So we can say, hey, I'm going to open. Oh, that's a different utility. Shoot. That's flock? No, I don't want flock. Maybe this first one's better. Yeah, okay. iOS base app. Had it there. Okay, app for append. There we go. iOS base input output stream base iOS base app. Sure. This is append mode. Apparently it's the number 8, but we have like a nice name for it here rather than knowing you have to tell it, hey, I want number 8. And now let's go add another line here. So how about we add, what do we want, maybe from GameStop? What do we want to buy at GameStop? Anyone have
Battlefield.
Battlefield? Battlefield. What else are we gonna buy at GameStop? GTA. Is that version 6 now? What is it?
This does not come. Next fall.
Next fall? Oh my goodness. All right.
Ghost of Yote.
Ghost of Yote. Yote.
TEI.
TEI. Heard that was really good.
Yeah, that's to play it.
Okay. But it's for PlayStation only, and I don't own a PlayStation. And I'm not going to go buy a PlayStation just to play this
It will
game.
come on Game Pass.
What?
It will come on Game Pass, like how Spider-Man God of War.
Okay, so you think this is just a, for now, it'll be on the,
Yeah, if there was Spider-Man and God of War was talking for years.
okay. I don't, like, is it a contract thing that they only release on a certain console? Like,
Yeah, it's like a PlayStation exclusive.
okay, but eventually it'll be non-exclusive?
Yeah.
Maybe? Okay.
Thankful.
Yeah, I mean, they've done a pretty good job advertising it too, I think, right? I've got ads for it. So, all right. So, yeah, let's try that. So, let's go open this with appending here. So, this is append mode. So, the file isn't erased. So, now when we run our program, we don't actually see any contents yet, but we can open up lists, and now we see we've appended to the file, which is nice. So, we didn't destroy it. So, we might then in our program open it and say, oh, hey, do you want to start a new shopping list or do you want to open a previous shopping list? And then they can tell us, oh, yeah, I want to open a previous one. We can open it for appending, or no, I want to start a new one. Okay, we'll just blow it away. Right? So we can have different options with our file reading and writing based on what they want us to do here. Right? And again, if we don't have a variable way of adding all these things yet, which is really dumb here. Okay, let me just go. Let's go back and steal our looping code here. And we'll go do this here because it'll make it a whole lot easier here. So after we've written that here, we'll read the next one. We'll go back to our ugly loop thing here and we'll go fix this. So what were we doing here? The next index, uh, while it was not in pause, right? So we need to go open our file again here. Oops, open. We never closed it. Oops, we probably should have closed it here. So input file stream, close. All right, and we'll go open it again here. Before we do this, let's go open it. So I don't need this item nonsense here. So what we do is we use this thing called a vector. Don't worry about it. We'll get to the next chapter here. But this is items. Then we got to go include vector.
So I have to learn about those already.
Oh, you did?
Well, that. Yeah, that's all about vectors.
I gave him the syllabus, and I said this is the order in which we're doing it. I'm sorry. Okay,
It's all good.
sure. Yeah, great. So a vector lets you store n number of things inside of it, which is very useful because we don't always know how many things we're going to have. And I don't want to have 10 different variables for 10 items in your shopping list here. So we'll go read out. So we don't want to read, we don't want to close it till we're done with all the lines here. That's we'll have a store name and then we'll have the items. So we got the first line and then we want to go get that index, right, of our target character. So we can just repeat this one here. And then the store name, sure, that's the same one here. Is this one? Let's actually go read out another line here because we want throw away Kroger. Right, we'll throw away the Kroger line. We really want the GameStop line is what we're looking for here. So we'll go get the GameStop line, go get that one out, and then we want to go find the next pipe character. So we're going to go get the next pipe character. Next index. Next index then will be my line find the target starting at index +1. And while my next index does not equal that npos string npos, then we can keep on going because we found more pipes, more things to read here essentially. We've got more data to go read out. So I can take my items vector and I can add something to it. I can push back, so let's add something to this vector here. We're going to go add my line.substring, starting at the index, going to the what's it, next index, minus the index minus one. Right, go read that out here, and then we'll go find the next index again here, starting at, oh, then we need to change index equals the next index, right? And then go find the next one, find the next one, find the next one. Eventually, the last one, right, will be just reading from the index, right? When we run out of pipes here, we know we hit the end. We can just read that last thing. We'll go add it to our vector, right? And because this is a vector of strings, I can say for, oh goodness, what is it? A string, I don't know, item in items, out the item, and probably what a comma as well. It'll be a little bit ugly, but that's okay. And then eventually we can add um, a new line and line. Oh, then we need the store name. So out list for new store name, and then we'll loop through our vector of items here, and we should be able to go read it. Oh, build errors. What do we do here? Oh, we don't need to tell it it's a string again for store name. So I don't need to tell it that. And I don't need to tell it it's another line. We already have line. Okay. Two different redefinitions. Nope. Okay, almost there. Almost there. Input file stream redefinition. Okay, so we just have to go open it again here. There we go. We've already told it it's an input file stream. We just go reopen. Oh, it's so close. So close. What did we mess up here? Is this not what we did before? The next index minus the index minus one. Next index minus one. From the index. Oh, index plus one. There we go. Right, we forgot index plus one. Let's try that. Battlefield, GTA. Uh-oh. Our spaces got to us here. We did a bad thing with our spaces. Um, it should have been fine. Oh, because we need to get line here instead of use the line. So let's do a get line from the input file stream to the line variable here. Uh, is it not? CIS stream? Can we just use get line? Is it not the right format? Let's try that. Does that work now? No. I did the. No. All right, it doesn't like that either. Basic iStream. Thought we just did get lines. Is it in the or should I just Google it? I should just Google it. C++ get line from file. Yeah, get line with a file. Get line. File and line. Isn't that what I did? Get line? Given the file and the line?
The include string.
String? Haha, thank you. Yeah, all right, thanks. You get a bonus point. All right, let's try that. So if we get the line rather than using CNs, we won't stop at a space, right? Our usual. Oh, invalid string position. Okay, we'll broke it. At where? Line 75. Index is invalid. Really? Oh, because the next index became invalid? Well, next index is not in pause. It should have stopped. All right, what do we do here? We've got our items. We're so close. We're so close. So let's put a breakpoint in and we'll watch it. we'll do it item by item. Really? I put a breakpoint in. I never got there. Next, next index was invalid? Okay, sure. Next index was invalid. So index was invalid. Finding pipe in my line. Oh, line is blank. So get line didn't work here. Get line. All right, all right. Let's see. So something didn't work with get line like we expected. So we get the line, and line is the first one. Now get line is blank. Let's try a second get line. I think it might just be getting the new line character at the end. So when we get the line, it stops at a new line character, and I think this read the new line character. Throw away line, because that would give us a blank one here. Let's try that. Now we get, let's see, line is blank, and now line, okay. Yes, so it captured the new line character at the end. When you mix and match these, it gets a little upset doing mixing and matching. So I guess we probably should have done get line first and then did that one here. That's probably okay. All right, so now this hopefully will work here with our indexing here. Yep. And then we can get our items, get our items, get our items out. Okay, and now let's just continue and see if we get the right output. How's our output look? Battlefield, GTA, Ghost of Yote. Oh, everything but Ghost of Yote. So we had an extra, we forgot the +1 at the last one here. Index +1. All right, almost there. Let's take out our breakpoints here. So it just runs and continue. And now we can have n number of items. Finally, so I can run through as many items as I want in my list here and read them all out because I can just keep adding to a vector. Eventually there's a limit. We're not going to hit it, right? With the shopping list, I promise. Somewhere in the millions or billions? I don't know. Mix. Vector size, C++. How many items can a vector have? Um, dependent on your hardware and operating system, somewhere around 2 to the 31. We're not going to hit that. Okay. I can, yeah, that's a pretty safe bet. We won't hit that one. So, okay. So I'm curious if this one works real quick, though. Can we just throw away the first line and have it work? Yes. Okay. So don't mix and match here. So let's throw away Kroger line here, that way. All right. So this way we just get the entire line, goes all the way, gets the new line character. You don't have to mess with any of that nonsense. So um, hopefully you've had a chance to play with the debugger here. I've used it a few times when I run into issues here, but that really is the best way to find out what's going wrong. Right? I obviously did that all on purpose to demonstrate for you what happens when your program doesn't work the way you expect it. You just put a breakpoint in. You say, what does my variable look like? What's happening? Why is it blank? And you kind of work through it step by step by step by step. So you're learning from my pain here. And it's okay. It's going to happen to everybody. It happens all the time. And we just take it through step by step. I think it should do this and it's not doing it. Well, what's happening? Right. And we just kind of inspect and see what's going on there. So we okay so far? Feeling good? So again, this is a little bit awkward with this format, but now that we've at least mentioned vectors, I think this format is much more flexible because if I have n number of items in a shopping list, I don't know how many lines to read if I was reading one line per item until I get to like the next store. I wouldn't know when to stop, right? So with this format, I can be like, okay, read the first thing is the store name and then read to the end of the line. You can have 50 items for Kroger, you can have 3 items for GameStop, you can have 7 items for Meijer, whatever you want here. If I don't have just a line to read to the end here, I don't know when I'm going to stop and get to the next game or the next store name if I read here's an item name, here's an item name, here's an item like line by line by line. So while this seems like it's a lot more work at first, now that we've talked about vectors and you can have n number of items, this becomes the preferred format. Because otherwise you have to do a lot more work. And you could say, hey, there are going to be 3 items to read, and one of the things you read out is the number 3. So like you might have the store name and then you might have a number 3, which indicates there are 3 items saved. And then you go read 3 lines and you've added those 3 lines. So there's ways to do it both ways, but this is a little bit easier, right? Because you just read to the end of the line and you're done. You don't need to do any extra work and say, oh, how many items did you have initially here? But you can do both formats. It's just whichever way you want to do it here. So when we get to our final project and we're reading and writing files here, and it'll be some flexible number, you can pick which way you want to do it, right? Whether or not you like the single line or you like, I'm going to tell you there'll be 7 lines to read. You just go read 7 lines. Okay. All right. We good so far? All right. Should we call it a day? We've got the project to finish up, and then the midterm. I got to give you last semester's midterm. That's right. Let me go find it here. 50 um dash. No, 150 dash. All right. Fall of 23. Oh, it's been 2 years. Okay. Quizzes, midterm, preview. All right. So first one, you get a free point for agreeing to the academic integrity policy. Did I mention this before? Someone actually did a study, and turns out if you ask people beforehand, they're less likely to cheat than if you put the question at the end to be like, please sign here to certify you didn't cheat. Because then you've already gone through the whole test, and you're like, oh, well, I guess I'm just going to lie, rather than, oh, I'm going to agree not to cheat and just not cheat here. Did I tell you the story about U of M and Ohio State? That's a good one. So someone else did a study because human behavior is interesting, and I find it interesting even if it baffles me. I much prefer computers because they make a lot more sense to me than humans. But they had a bunch of people come into a room, and the idea was it's a math test, and you would essentially score yourself on it, and you go up front and you tell them how many questions you got right, and they give you that many dollars. Like, hey, I got 19 out of 20 right. They're like, okay, here's your $19. Thanks for taking the test. So they had a group of people from probably Ann Arbor. I don't know what the actual city here. And then they had someone dressed up in Ohio State gear get up after like 3 minutes, when obviously you couldn't solve 20 problems in 3 minutes, go up to the front and be like, hey, I got 20 out of 20 right. And everyone in Ann Arbor saw this, and they're like, oh, those dirty Ohio State people, they're a bunch of cheaters. And they were less likely to cheat because dirty Ohio State people were cheating, and they're better than that. And then they ran the study again, and they just had a random person not in some sort of swag get up and cheat. And then that made people more likely to cheat. They're like, oh, someone got away with cheating. I can cheat too. I can get 20 bucks for free and not have to take the test. So if there was someone in your opposing group who you think is dirty and a cheater and they're awful people because Ohio stinks, you're less likely to cheat because they cheated. But if they're just some other person, you're like, oh, they're like me. I can get away with cheating too. You're more likely to cheat. So human behavior is really weird like that. So if you see someone in Ohio State gear taking the midterm, you can assume they're cheating and you're better than that, right? All right. So again, open book, open notes, open internet. You're going to cite your source, right? All work submitted is your work unless otherwise cited. Okay. But it's still English paper rules apply. You can't just give me one quote, be like, hey, I found the answer. You didn't do any work, right? That doesn't work. So like, oh, hey, I found one little piece here. That's fine. Cite it. That's great here. So other than that, 15 quiz style questions, true, false. But with my true, false questions, you have to correct the statement to make it true. I find it much more interesting this way here. So variable names can be anything you want them to be, as long as they only use letters, numbers, and the underscore character. Is that true or false? Again, you would say true, or if it's false, you would correct the statement and say, oh no, they have to be this, or whatever it happens to be here. True or false, using the percent sign operator gives the decimal remainder from integer division of the operands. Right? So true or false, again here. This one's a bit of a trick question here. It's not a decimal, right? So you'd say the integer remainder, right? False, it gives you the integer remainder, right? For example of that one. So some other questions here. Mostly true, false. I think there's like one or two fill in the blank. What's 2 reasons to use functions? Just a short answer. 2 reasons functions are great, right? Just short answer here. And what 3 things must you do with file streams when you work with them? You open them, you read, write them, and then you close them, right? Technically, it gets closed automatically when you're done with the program, but you have to be closing it, and it's good practice to make sure you're closing it when you're done here. And then we'll have 3 long answer questions. So just write some short bit of code here, shorter than a lab exercise. The idea here is these take, I imagine, about 10 minutes each, so that if you needed twice as much time on it, you could have that much time on it. So like 5 to 10 minutes each is just my best estimate here. This is really hard to gauge here. So it says, write a program that asks the user to enter 10 scores from 0 to 100. Ensure the values are between 0 and 100, inclusive of both ends. For every valid value entered, count how many are greater than 80. Print the number of values greater than 80 at the end. It's a loop, validation loop, and we're just counting something along the way, right? Pretty short. This is like 6 lines of code. But we just work through a little bit here. Please do this in Visual Studio and then copy paste into the submission box. Don't write your code here. right? Because it's likely your code won't work if you write it here. Right? Use Visual Studio, hit the run button, make sure it runs in Visual Studio, and then copy paste it over. Okay, perfectly fine. Use your tools. Next one, write a function steps to 1 in 3x plus 1. Sounds like a bunch of nonsense, but it's really fun here. That accepts an integer value. Count the number of steps it takes to get to the value 1 by following the rules below. If the number's odd, multiply by 3 and add 1. If the number's even, divide by 2. There's a whole video here. I don't know if it's the stand-up maths guy or the Veritasium guy. Some fun YouTuber did a video on this here, and it amused me. So eventually you always get down to 1. But it's unproven mathematically. They just haven't disproved it yet, but they can't prove it mathematically, apparently. But any number we want to put in, you'll get that down to 1 eventually. So if you put in 5, it's odd, so you multiply by 3, add 1, you get 16. And then divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. It took 5 steps to get from 5 to 1, is what you'd print out. Right? Sorry, yeah, I think it would return. Oh, it doesn't count the number of steps. Yes, I think you're going to return the number of steps. I would probably clean that up. So a function, right? So some sort of validation loop question, some sort of function question, right? And then the last one here, read a file. So it's a file-based question here. Count of letter in file that accepts 2 arguments, one for a single letter and one for a file name. Attempt to read a file with the given file name. Count the number of times the given letter appears in the text of the file. Okay, so you got to read through the entire file, count how many times you find that character in every line of the file. Okay, so 3 questions. Again, not too long here. These are like 5-10 lines of code, not too crazy, but it should take a couple minutes of each one of these so that if we wanted to, you could sit and take it in class. I don't want to. You don't want to. No one wants to, right? But we could if we had to. I don't even know if I can do that because not everyone has a laptop. I don't know how to give it as a Canvas quiz, and I refuse to make people write code on paper because, ugh, no, we can do better. It's 2025, right? We should not do tests on paper, but at least coding tests on paper. I don't care what the other classes do. But right. Questions, thoughts, concerns? That all makes sense? Let me print this one off. I think if I select, I think if I just hit print, it works, right? Print preview. Let's see. Yeah, okay. We got all the quiz questions. It looks really long here because they're all the like essay style questions here. So let me do this and call it CIS 150 practice midterm, and go back here and I'll go add that as a file here. So I'll go over the solutions on Monday. That's the only plan I have to do on Monday is just go over the solutions of that, answer any last minute questions here. Will not be a very exciting day. Downloads, practice midterm. Okay, so there's the practice midterm. Feel free to check that out. And we should be in pretty good shape. So um, overall, here, let me double check what I put down. I think it's 10% of your overall score will come from the midterm. Yep. So I can plug that in here too as well. Let me add another category here for midterm. Midterm, edit. Uh, I never did the grade. I'm sorry, I never did the weights here. Shoot. That was what, 30 and 10 and 10, right? Hang on. To go back and look and see what I wrote down. I don't remember. I just looked at it too. Uh, labs are 10. Oh, that's right. Your labs will be 10, and then final project's 40. Okay, so then the lab score I'll just get from Dr. Said? No, Dr. Said? Okay, good. Um, he'll just tell me what your score is at the end of the semester. Labs, it's 10% of the grade here, and this is a manual lab score. Let's do what? End of the semester, so the 8th, I think, is the last day. We'll say that's 100 points, right? And then if you get 95% or whatever here, so you don't have to submit anything for that. I'll just plug in the score. Sorry, this will make Canvas work a whole lot better for you here too. I'm sorry, I should have done this earlier. Zybooks was 10%, midterms 10%, and then the final project. Final project is 40%. Okay, all right, that hopefully totals up to 100% then. Yeah, I think that does. All right, we good? Awesome, that's all I got today. Folks, take care. I will see you Monday then if you want to come for a review. If not, midterm opens Wednesday. Monday after that it's due, so for sure, we'll probably see you in a week from Monday. Then.